The following content is intended for a mature audience only. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Boom, boom. We're on British Bears, coming to you from another land. The British Bears Show, another kind of fan. Bears fans all day, Bears fans all night, 365 days, 5,000 miles away. Hey, hey, hey! The British Bears, the Irish Bears, the German Bears, the Polish Bears. Wait, what? We are bears. We are bears. We are bears. The British Bears. The British Bears. Welcome to the British Bears.
Welcome to the British Bears Show. And now your hosts, C-Dub and JasonUkBears.
Well, thank you all for that lovely introduction. And we've got somebody back on the show. We've got Jason's back for his honeymoon. You're looking fresh, you're looking good, mate. How's the honeymoon?
Amazing. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, it was brilliant. Incredible. Happy to be back, though, obviously.
I was expecting a bit more of a tan on you though, Jace.
Someone else said that. Well, I like to, you got to use your sunscreen, got to be careful out in the sun. And you don't get much of a tan in the bar, I suppose, do you? But no, we were in the shade on the beach. It's I wasn't going too crazy. But yeah,
Cool,
I'm all
cool.
good to be back.
I'm glad you're back, mate. It was weird not doing a show with you for 3 weeks, but I just want to say thank you to everybody who sort of stepped in, Aldo, Mr. Shorty, and Foster. So thank you guys for stepping in for Jason. Like half of British Bears for like 3 weeks, so we're only half of Britain there. You know what I mean? But we still brought it. But I'm really glad you're back, mate. And I'm glad you had a wonderful honeymoon. Obviously, this week we haven't got a game to review because we're on a bye week. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through the first 4 games, just sort of give you our viewpoints of how the season's progressing. And then we can move on to the preview in the Washington Commanders game. So obviously, the first game was against the Minnesota Vikings, which we lost 27-24. Your thoughts, Jason? I'll leave this one to you. Let's dive you into the deep end, mate.
We did cover this one, didn't we? I think it was the one game. Was it one game or deal 2? I can't remember. It was one.
The one game, and then you went. Then you left me to try and explain the Detroit loss, the 50 burger.
That's right. Yeah.
You ran off.
Right, I can't remember. Anyway, but then that's you kind of feel like it's a game we definitely should have won, that the Vikings game, isn't it? I mean, we had McCarthy rattled, and it was just we just gave that away, didn't we, in the end? And especially when you see, I mean, they nearly lost in Dublin, didn't they? Nearly lost to the Steelers and pulled it out of the bag at the last minute with a veteran quarterback. Because is McCarthy injured again? Isn't he? Got injured in the second game or something? So
he's got injured, but I think they're. I'm sure I heard today they're actually benching Carson Wentz. McCarthy must be fit again to play. I mean, Carson Wentz. He was terrible against the Steelers, and he was pretty ropey last weekend against I can't remember the player now. The Browns. Sorry. But then again, you are playing against Myles Garrett, who probably scares the living daylights out of anybody.
Out of everyone, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm sure as well that Cleveland's defense are probably number 1 in the league. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they're right up there.
I think they are in one respect. I think it might be run defense or something. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty well. Yeah.
But I mean, it was sort of. It was disappointing because obviously we lost sort of so close, and like you said, Jason, we were sort of right up until the third quarter. We were sort of in the lead by a couple of scores as well, and it just seemed to me that they just managed to get their running game going, and we just couldn't stop their running game. And obviously that took the pressure from the rookie quarterback. He made a few good plays, but our offense still fought back, regardless that our running game hasn't been particularly great. Caleb, he got 2 to 10 yards. He didn't throw an interception. He got a touchdown. And he was our leading rusher as well, which is a bit sort of disappointing with 58 yards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would have I think everybody went a little bit overboard with the criticism of the team because obviously, Ben Johnson's first proper season game as the head coach. You get the build up of the off season, and obviously you have to wait such a long off season with the NFL. But I think some people went a little bit over the top of the criticism and thinking that we're all doom and gloom for the Bears. Anything more you want to touch on regarding the Vikings game, mate?
Not really. I think because you can the first week's always a bit random, and you can get some really crazy results in the first week. And I think with the injuries we had as well on defense, I think we were quite pleased with how they started out, and they seemed to manage quite well. But I think what hurt us in the third quarter was our offense it started to sputter a bit. I think the Vikings made adjustments, so we were doing a lot of 3-outs. And I know people have said about time of possession over the whole game. But over in that second half, our defense was up there a lot, and I think they got tired a bit. But it was just awful, wasn't it? But away with that. We stated like the last couple of seasons when we've had the old win prediction algorithm was saying we're like 90% plus chance to win the game, and then enough said. It was a shocker, wasn't it? But it was disappointing because obviously the Vikings are such a good team to get them in that position and then not see it through is just So it brought sort of trauma back from the last couple of Bears seasons. But you've got a bit of faith. I think, like I said, we talked to me just before the show about that book I took with me to my honeymoon. That people might know it, they might have read it. Is that Monsters, the story of the 1985 Bears? And I couldn't find it. I was trying to find it for this show, but there's a paragraph in there because when they were building the team and it didn't start brilliantly, and one of the guys on the inside, I think one of the coaches said that you have to be bad before you can get good. So you had to you've got to go through those pains to build a good team. So. It was kind of reminded me of that. So I think we also hyped up me because of the talent we'd acquired and the positive vibes going into the season about the coaching staff, and then to see it fall flat was just really disappointing. But any given Sunday and all that. But
that's right. I think as well, you mentioned the Steelers, and I think the injuries on the defense as well sort of really hurts because they all sort of happened quite late on in the pre-season and literally the week before the first game. With Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards out. Jalen Johnson, obviously. That's like a big ask for a defense, but it was very, very disappointing. And I can't believe that McCarthy got like the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. I mean, that's just fucking ridiculous, man. Because he starts the shit. Do you know what I mean? Terrible. He made a play at the end. He did run in a touchdown himself, but it like. Are you taking a piss or what? What do you have to do?
It's because all these awards are just basically a popularity contest, aren't they? It's like if you win, then the quarterback's brilliant. If they lose, the quarterback's shit. Regardless of what happens, it's just the way they seem to. I don't know. It's just it's what it is, isn't it? I don't care. That's why I know some people are sort of slamming polls for no Pro Bowlers and this sort of thing, but it's a popularity contest. It doesn't mean anything to me. We just want to see wins. So obviously they haven't been coming yet, but. Yeah, I think these things a lot of these awards are just like popularity contests. The media loves to. It's an engagement economy, isn't it? So they just want attention, so they'll just throw things out there to get people riled up, or the latest big name or whoever. It's all a big hype train, isn't it? And they just got to keep it rolling. So
it's like who's the new fad of the week sort of thing. You know what I mean? And then they'll completely slay that player like in a couple of weeks if they play a bad game.
Anyway,
So anyway, we'll move on from the first game, and this is the game where you legged it to the tropical paradise and left your partner in crime to try and explain a 52-21 drumming by the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
It was, I personally, I mean, I come watching the game, and we were sort of in the game right up to, I'd say, probably near the end of the first half. You know, they scored on their first drive. We answered straight away with a score on our first drive. And then I think a lot of it was because we just couldn't run the ball at all. I mean, Swifty got 63 yards, but he fumbled. Caleb, you know, he threw for 207 yards with 2 TDs and 1 interception. But it was just sort of like, once a lot like the first game, once our offense started getting behind the sticks, because Detroit was so explosive that once they started scoring, we just couldn't keep up. And then obviously, you know, that means we can't run the ball, so it makes us a bit more one-dimensional in our offense, because obviously you got to try and throw it to claw back their lead. But what were your thoughts about the Detroit game when you were sipping your cocktail?
Well, no, I watched. I did see it. I saw it here, and then, but because I was
right. Of course, you went that day, didn't you?
On the Tuesday I was going, so I didn't have to come into the show. But before, I've been remiss, and just want to say before I go into the Detroit game briefly, I just want to say hello to everyone in chat, because we've got some of the usual faces here. So again, a massive thank you to guys for joining us. It's really good to see you guys again. Honeymoons are great on a sandy desert island, but it's it's nothing like chatting to the fellow Bears fans, is it? So Evie's in here. She was first. BCP, that Bears Country Productions, is Shorty, I think, is at work and in meeting. Erica L is there. Bear down. It's Crimson Your Dig as usual. Hello. Armando Lara Jr. is in here. I think I saw Patty as well. So welcome to you guys. Squeegee in the house.
Squeegee.
There's Patty. Where else? Relentless Mikey, of course, is joining us, and I think Being King Booker World. Mr. Mayhem is here as well. Brilliant. I've seen all these guys because I see him in other chat as well. I see him on the BCP Thursday show or in Sean Sierra's. This little hardcore family of lovely Bears fans is brilliant. So Mikey, Armando, Crimson, and King Booker World has jumped in, man. Good to see you, Booker.
Booker World, mate. I don't know if you saw his appearance on Shorty Show.
I did.
Brilliant the other week. So I did say last week that I'd love to have him on as a guest, because I thought he was absolutely amazing, and his insight and his energy were absolutely great. And you're right, Steve. How you doing, mate?
Me as well.
Yeah, all the way from Ireland.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Please tell me you're not still talking about the Vikings game. Sick of them at this stage. Had to go and see them live last few weeks in Dublin and London. I'm so done with that team. Bear down, beat Washington. Yeah. So Steve, we're just basically, because I didn't have a game to cover this weekend, and I've been away. We're just quickly rattling through the first 4 games. So that's where we are. But so Detroit, we talked about them. Crimson is saying the more I see of Monungai, the more I'm convinced he's a massive upgrade over Swift. I'm expecting Johnson to see it too. I'm interesting that. Yeah, we're going to see what I want to see what we had. I'd said to you before, didn't I? At the beginning of the season, I'm curious as to what we might get out of him, because I do think he's got real potential.
Oh, I do.
And interestingly, we'll talk about Washington in a bit, but their leading running back is actually a 7th rounder taken in the last draft as well. So,
sneaky stat bomb that was, Jason.
Well, it's not a stat bomb. It could have been. Yeah. But anyway,
I've also heard that Ben Johnson said that they're going to use a bit more of Roshan Johnson in the backfield through the games, because he's just been predominantly on special teams. And apparently he's saying that he wants to work him into the offense. So, I mean, that'll be a different style, because he's definitely more like a north-south runner, a bit more of a banger than Swift is. But yeah, I'd like to see the rookie used a bit more. But yeah, I mean, like you say, once he got into the second half, we were.
I think for the Detroit game, I think what was a big deal was that fuck up at the end of the first half, because they're with the clock, Tesla flipping got the one-handed grab and he fell down clearly in bounds. And then because the refs balls it up, they had to add him on another 10 seconds, which gave them time to run the ball in for the extra score at the end of the half.
Yeah. That's when the whole team, basically the whole Bears squad, has started walking into the.
That's it, because he was told that's the half, so they started walking out, and they had to call him back in, get 10 seconds on the clock, and so it's just it is what it is. But I mean, we talked about it before, didn't we, with the sort of brain drain of the coaching staff that the Lions have had. It was going to be interesting to see, and obviously as rivals, we were going to hopefully it was going to sort of have an impact, but. Doesn't seem to have done, is it? They're an absolute juggernaut, aren't they? They're just, they've put it down. They've still got the talent.
That's the seed, isn't it? The amount of coaching, but they've still got the playing staff from the previous year, so they've still got that high talent. And also as well, the people who run the Lions, who initially brought in Ben Johnson, they're not stupid people. They're not going to bring in somebody who can't do the job at all. So if you've got a half decent play caller with that much talent on their offense, then they are going to be good. But yeah, I think we should move on from that game, because I did try and watch some highlights today just to refresh it, and it got to like near the end of the first half, and I went, "Oh, fuck this!"
Yourself, yeah.
Too depressing, man. And I think as well that one of the problems in that game as well is that I don't think we got any sacks that game as well. So what I recall, we weren't really getting much pressure on Goff. What you need to do, because he's the most mobile of quarterbacks. So if you get pressure up the middle or off the edge, but I'm sure we didn't get any sacks that game at all, which doesn't surprise me actually.
I think there's been two games, isn't there? I think of our 4 that we haven't had sacks on the air. But I was going to mention that later on ready for next week. But yeah, not ideal. But it was it was a shocker, wasn't it? Basically, we just got blown away essentially.
I mean, I think Detroit, the Ben Johnson thing, I think they made more of it than we did, using it as a bit of a motive regarding the game for them. I think I think Campbell made a big deal out of it, and obviously with a crowd as well and stuff like that, which I can sort of understand, but it's not like he went to the Bears to do the same job he was doing at the Lions. He went up a step, and you can't really begrudge somebody getting a better job, you know what I mean?
No, it goes, isn't it? Everyone knows if your coordinators do a really good job, then they're going to be in line at some point for promotion, aren't they? It's what, that's what you want, isn't it, really? I guess if success means that some of your coaches will want to go take it further. But it was like Steve says. We were hoping the brain drain might be a thing, but it's not. They are still the best team in the division, aren't they? They're still leading the NFL in scoring points per game. So I guess they won't be running Johnson's exact playbook, but the guy they promoted to their OC was a promotion from inside, wasn't he? So I believe he was already familiar with their offense and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, they believe. So James Chrisley, I've never seen you in the chat before, but yes, he believes Ryan Poles is a fraud. So coming in strong. He was talking about the running backs. We were missing on left tackle and DE. You guys are worrying about running back. I wouldn't say that we are just worrying about running back. We just mentioned it in passing in terms of the fact that we didn't have much success, which was something we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for me, if you want to touch on that. To me, it's not so much the running backs; it's more the offensive line having a chance to gel. Do you know what I mean? Like, these guys are playing together for the first time in the season, and I think it's just taking a bit of time to, for them to gel and to get used to playing together, because that's such a team part of the actual. It's like a little small team within the a part of the bigger team, if that makes any sense, which probably don't actually. But do you know what I mean? They have to really work together. I know what
you're saying. Yeah, it's one of the most important units, isn't it? Because
that's the word I was struggling to say, and it won't coming out.
You have to learn to work together. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. I don't know. It's with all this left tackle stuff. I know Braxton got benched, didn't he? So. Yeah. And it made a difference second half because Max Crosby, I think we'll talk about the Raiders game in a minute, aren't we? But we'll do that. Yeah, move on to the next one. What's the next one?
The next game is the Bears flying back against the Cowboys. How about them Bears? And we beat the Cowboys 31-14. We absolutely pissed all over Matt Eberfluss's defense. I mean, Caleb Williams, 19 out of 28, 298 yards, 4 TDs. The flea flicker, which will stay in my memory until the day I die, was just a thing of sheer beauty. And it just showed people that he can hit the long pass. And he did it flat-footed. You know what I mean? Which is like, he just basically did it with his wrist. Bird in the third, he had a bit of a coming-out game. He had 3 receptions for 101 yards and a TD. And the good thing about, I know the Cowboys' defense isn't particularly very good, but one of the main things what I really liked was how Caleb spread the ball about. Like all the receivers got like a lot. We got like a lot of people, a lot of catches, and the touchdowns. Burner got one, Odunze got one, Moore got one, Komet got one. So you can't ask for much better than that, for spreading the ball about to your skilled players. What were your thoughts about that stunning victory?
Yeah, we just dismantled his terrible zone defense, didn't we? I think also for that game, I think there's also you've got to give a big shout out to Dennis Allen and the defense, because it was the 2 weeks either side of that, they've put up 35 or more points. So and then you got all the it's just Dallas, it's only Dallas, and then there's the team that took the Eagle to distance, and I'd say been scoring points for fun. Yeah, we know their defense was suspect, especially in the backfield. So we were expecting a shootout. That's what I was thinking. Like, we're going to give up points here because of our injuries in the the back seven of the defense, and Prescott is just lighting it up. But it turned out didn't work out that way. So I think praise for Allen for the way he played that game. Definitely. With the resources.
You think that, Jason, he had a 50-burger put on his defense previous week. And at the time, Dallas were the fourth overall offense in the NFL when we played in that week. So to go from getting your ass kicked and doing it with all them injuries as well, what we started, on the defense, that was genius. That was probably one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen. To go from, night and day. And it was, I agree with you. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a shootout, but to stop the fourth-ranked offense in the league like they did, and then control them on offense, and we just, like you said, even for this scheme, we absolutely just tore it apart. I thought everybody was finding the holes in their zone defense, and like I said, I just loved how the spreading the ball about as well. Like, he wanted to Caleb wanted us focusing on one player, which, I was getting a little bit worried that he was just going to start, focusing on Roma Dunze a bit, like he was doing like in the early games, but he was spreading it about. And like I said, that flea flicker, mate, is probably one of the best Bears players I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Despite the fact he started out a bit of a horror show, because Swift's arm got bumped. I think Joe Tooney stepped back into him as he was about to throw it back, and it bumped it, so it went high. So you're thinking, don't screw it up, we're like, so the ball was up there, but it clearly worked. Yeah, obviously it was a dream.
He actually had to like jump up to get the pass from Swift, and then he just planted his foot and just went ping.
Yeah,
and it was
he threw it without the laces as well, didn't he? Apparently, because he had to get rid of it. Apparently, he threw that without his fingers on the laces, which is the usual way. But 62 air yards for that pass? Just our quarterback's got an arm, man. Just need to harness it, and we're on our way. But we'll see.
Like you said, like we were talking about the defense earlier. You had Edmonds who got 2 interceptions. Bayard got an interception. Even Robinson got a sack. And even Sweat got a sack, thank God. So, the defense really did turn it around. And I think Tremaine Edmonds is having a bit of a stellar season. I think this scheme suits his style of play more, that he's a little bit more on the outside as a linebacker. Seeing having to sort of get off blocks so much on big linemen. And he had an absolute awesome game. We'll move on to the Raiders game. What a nail biter that one at the end. With the Bears won 25-24 in the last oomph of the game. A blocked field goal. What were your views about the game, mate?
It was like I say, it was an entertaining game. It wasn't one for the purists, was it? I mean, the big talking point was the fact that we obviously the turnovers, we didn't take advantage of them to the best that we should have.
That was disappointing. That was disappointing.
Yeah, so I mean, one of them was because of Max Crosby, wasn't it? We got that, interception he got, and he was terrorising us first half, wasn't he? Until we made the adjustments, and then Trapillo comes out on the right tackle, and Benedette, Canadian Eagle, goes to left tackle, and the rest is history. But I mean, there was a disappointing the run defense again. Obviously, that was Gentry's big come-out game, wasn't it? He flipping ran for 100 yards, whatever it was. Was it 240 yards on the ground we conceded that day on defense?
It was. It was, mate, yeah.
So that's something that obviously we all know needs to improve for sure. But yeah, it was a great finish. Nice to come out on the right side of a special teams play at the end for a change, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, also, didn't you feel though, like Caleb showed you that it's a quarterback where he can put the game on his back? To me, that's when he seems to operate the best, is when he's like, the end of the game, the pressure's on, we need to get a score. Just seems to be like the environment he loves to work. And I thought he just brings a calmness, and that's what I like. That he's sort of like a bit of self-confidence, not in a cocky way, but the passes what he will make, like the slants to get down, and I thought he played really well in the second half, and to see all the pressure he had on. Who knows, James? Who knows?
Yeah.
To say that he had all that pressure, especially the first half of Matt Crosby. I mean, I think Caleb's come out after the game saying that Matt Crosby's probably the best player he's ever played against. And Crosby said, likewise, he was really impressed with how Caleb played and the competitor he was after the game. And like you say, it doesn't happen very often, does it, for the Bears, was to come out on the winning side when it comes to them sort of games. And I really liked Ben Johnson, sort of the footage of Ben Johnson in the changing rooms after the game, and he would have said he was really pumped up, and also as well, I really liked how he was after the Dallas game as well when he did his little speech, and you can see like the players are buying into him, they're buying into the coach because now they start to see the results, and I loved that. I loved all that. They're absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, we came out winners, brought us to 2-2. What's your sort of main sort of concerns after the first 4 games? What are the things what are sort of standing out to you? What you're sort of slightly worried about, or you want the Bears to change or improving?
Well, I think probably I know they're all glaring, aren't they? It's been mentioned a little bit in the chat already. And we've mentioned it too as well, is the run game basically on offense and defense is a big concern. Especially, like I say, coming up, we'll talk about Washington in a bit, but obviously they lead the league in rushing offense at the moment after a small sample size, but they're starting to set the tone. They're running the ball like crazy. So hopefully if we can get players back in terms of TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon, I think, was it Relentless Mikey just said in here, Kyler Gordon has told reporters and CHSN he'll be back Monday night versus Washington. So, hopefully. I mean, he's been training, hasn't he? The first report isn't out until Thursday because it's a Monday night game. So, I think he was training on Friday, limited. But, I mean, it's a hamstring, you've got to be careful. But if we can get him and TJ back, hopefully that improves our run defense. They should be scheming for it, obviously, because they know what they're about. So we'll talk about Washington, but that's the main one. Is that, and the other big one is also getting to the quarterback. Is that we're not getting sacks really. We're just not getting enough sort of production there. So I think those are the main concerns outside of injuries. Really, but we can't do much about those.
Sorry, Jason, go on.
Go on. But I also just wanted to finish by just saying about the Raiders game was that it was a very different kind of win to the Dallas game the week before.
Yes.
So obviously it's great to sort of blow teams out, and that you want to do that every week, don't you? But that was a sort of more of a, and they said it in the locker room, didn't they? After about being a character win, which is a bit of a cliche, but it's true, isn't it? It's that you got sometimes you've got to win uglier. That's what it said on the thumbnail for the show, wasn't it? And I think we talk about it. I know they talk about it in the sort of Premier League soccer here a lot, don't they? Is that good teams will win when they're not playing particularly well. They find a way to win ugly, don't they? So, and it's the same. I think it's nice and it's good for them because you start winning becomes like a habit and a belief, doesn't it? So you turn up thinking that you've got a chance every week. Keep the game close and we'll see what happens. But I think it's actually good for the character of the team, for the experience, for the culture to actually come out of an ugly win and sort of grind one out and get the result. Because it feels different, doesn't it? Then, and they started to build belief. So we'll see how we build on it from 2-game winning streak currently, and I know that we're for our 6 coming up. I guess next 6 games to sort of saying them as more winnable than the rest of like the gauntlet we got at the end of the year, because of especially for some of the injuries that some of the other teams are facing, and also like the Ravens defense is just like a flipping Swiss cheese at the minute.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and then obviously Burrow being out for the season, Jake Browning is just throwing picks for fun. So again, we'll just see. We've got to see. So we'll talk about one game at a time. But yeah, I think 2-2, 2 different kind of wins we've had, and then a nice sort of bye, which actually, to talk about the bye, initially I was just really pissed off. Like week 5 bye, you think,
yeah, I thought that as well. This is too early.
And now everyone's going, oh, actually, it's a really good time to have a bye week with all these injuries. If we can get players back and then get onto a roll, we'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that for now, mate.
I agree with them 2 points. I mean, I think as well that we need to try and solidify the offensive line as well. You know, we still really don't know, who's the left tackle. That's still up in the air. I don't know what's going to happen to Braxton Jones. I think, we should keep him. Obviously, this year, I don't think they should try and trade him this year because I don't think you'll get much for him anyway. But I think really, I don't think if that Rangers game would have been last year, I don't think we would have won that game just due to the crap culture of Eberflus and just how crap he was as an head coach. And I think it's like you just said, the 2 different styles of wins builds character. And it'll make the players, and make me as a player believe in Ben Johnson even more. Like, well, even when we're shit, we can win. Do you know what I mean? Even if we got all these injuries, we can win. You know what I mean? So like, I'm sort of really happy with Ben Johnson. It's the best offense scheme I've seen for the Bears in eons. I like his attitude. I like how he's transparent when he comes to the press. He don't try and give you that bullshit coach speak what Euflus did last year. We're all going to get together and do it. And it's like, mate, you can't give us any fucking details. You're just using fucking bullshit coach speech because you're out your depth, basically. So I'm really happy with Ben Johnson, really happy with Dennis Allen. But like you say, we really need to sort out the running game on defense and offense, because I think really if we can get the running game going on offense, they can open up the playbook even more, takes a bit of pressure off Caleb and gives us a bit more of a balanced offense as well. So hopefully that can develop. And like I said, I just like to see the offensive line, get a bit more solidified. I was like you said, like the second half of the 2 rookies coming, it were noticeably better, especially the running game with Benedette and Ozzy. So I'm glad they did that. And it sort of shows the team that no players above from getting benched. Just because you're a starter, if you don't play well, you are going to get benched. So I do like that coaches, had the backbone to do that. After the Detroit game, I was pretty worried. But after they came back against the Cowboys, how they played against the Cowboys, and how they came back against the Raiders, it just summed up a lot of character. And it's like I always try and preach, give us a bit of patience, you know what I mean? So I do well.
Oops, I just banned James Christo. I didn't mean to. I went to just hide his last comment. So, James, I do apologise. I don't know. I undo that. So,
I've got no idea, man. Unless you just click on it again.
Delete this last comment because he just put a thing about the NFL being a fake sport. I was like, oh, whatever. So I'm just going to get rid of that one out of the chat. And I went to do it. And as I did, a new comment came in and it dropped it. And I pressed the wrong button. So I do apologise, James. I didn't mean to ban you from the channel.
But then, James, I really don't know what your argument is regarding the NFL not being a valid.
He just said regardless of the results, the owners always make millions, which is kind of true. But it's at the same time, it's like this, fake sport bollocks. This doesn't matter. But anyway, that's why I was going to get rid of it because it's,
Yeah, because to me,
James, sorry about that. If maybe Troy can help me or Foster can help me out with how you unban someone. I didn't want to ban him. I didn't mean to do that. Oh God, bloody computers!
Oh, don't worry about it. Stop being so English about it.
I do apologise.
He slightly turned into like a Hugh Grant then. You're like, oh, sorry.
Anyway,
but yeah, I think me and James might have differing views on a few things. So you're back now, Jason. So that means that you can do the stat bomb yourself instead of me trying to read out my horrible Yorkshire accent. So it's that time of the show where Jason brings it with his stat bomb. So fire away, mate.
Right. Okay. It's nothing spectacular this week because we haven't got we didn't have a game, did we? So I've just gone as everyone noticed probably. There's no longer any undefeated teams this season because, as rather surprisingly, the Bills and the
Eagles
both lost, didn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought, oh, that's interesting because it seemed to me that it was quite early. Normally, someone will make a run of quite a few games into the season without losing, won't they? So you'll get someone having a big old run. So because it seemed to me to be early before to have everyone having lost a game. So I thought I'd have a look. So. Over the last 10 seasons, the average for like the team that wins the most games before they lose their first one, if you know what I mean, is 7 wins. So the average for the last 10 seasons is someone will get to 7 wins and then they lose their first game. So there's always someone that goes on that sort of stretch. So 5 wins were 4 was this time, wasn't it? So that's 9 times in total, actually, in the NFL ever has been 4. The team has won 4 and then lost their first one. So that's like the longest stretch.
Sure.
The last time it happened was 2002 when both the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers, remember them, managed to get wins. They were the last teams to go to get their first loss, as it were. There's 3 wins. So that's quite, poor because I thought 4, average is 7 last 10 years.
Yeah.
10 times in total has there been a team gone to 3 wins and then lost the undefeated record. The 2014 was the last time when Eagles, Bengals, and Cardinals did it. Before that, 2010, when the Bears joined the Steelers and Chiefs for winning 3 and then losing their first game. And then the Rams and the Broncos and the Lions in 1970 in the merger year was the last. So those 3 times when that's happened. Since the 1970 merger, right? Because again, I looked at how many teams had done these sort of these runs of like double-digit wins into the season. Double-digit wins before you lose your first game has happened actually 14 times since the merger, which is actually 25%. So 1 in 4 seasons, a team will get to double digits before they lose their first game, which I thought was quite.
Wow.
I know, yeah.
I never thought it'd be that much.
Yeah, so 1 in 4 seasons since the merger, a team has made it to double digits without losing a game. And then getting down the list now, so bottom of the barrel stuff. So sometimes there's only twice a team has won 2. The furthest someone's got without losing is 2 wins. And that was happened in 1960 and 61. And then there's 3 times where a team has won 2 wins, 2 wins, no defeats, and a tie. Has happened 3 times, which interestingly was the Chicago Bears in 1928. The Chicago Cardinals in 1935, and then the Washington in 1938. Those are the 3 teams won tie and then lost their first game. And there has never ever been a season where the longest stretch was 1. So there's never been a time where everyone's gone 1-1 for the first week.
Right.
Unsurprisingly. So yeah, that's all I got for you this week.
Well, I really enjoyed that stat bomb, Jason. I liked how you went back to like prehistoric times.
Prehistoric, the 30s.
Got you when you were back before the Bears were the Bears.
Yeah, the Staleys, that's it.
No, I mean that stat. I didn't realize it were that many teams had been in double figures before they lost it. Like you said, like nearly 25%. That's more than I thought. Probably because as being a Bears fan, it doesn't very often. It doesn't happen to us very often. But cool, man. That was a great stat bomb. So we'll move on to the previewing of the next game against the Washington Commanders.
Wanted to reply to Steve Mee's comment. That's quite a good one, actually. So the Jets and Justin Fields are the only winless team. The Saints.
That's right. Yes.
Wins this week keeps the Any Given Sunday NFL alive. It is winning games is hard, man. Any win is precious. Yeah. It's true. It's not. Let's look at the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch the New York game last week, and I don't know, mate. I just don't see it with Justin Fields. I know he ain't on the best team, but his actions got a bit better. It was like a massive wind-up like he had when he was with the Bears, but I just don't see it. I think he's just going to be like a really good backup somebody if he keeps playing. I just don't think he's ever going to be that big franchise player. You know what I mean? But I mean, you know, he's had weird situations all the way through his career. But practically every NFL player goes through weird, has a weird environments to work in and whatever, and and things that sort of go against. But yeah, good call, Steve, on that one, man. But yeah, the Washington Commanders are 3-2. They beat the Los Angeles Chargers last week, who were 3-1 at the time, and I was really sort of impressed by them, to be honest with you. I thought their defense, their front seven's really, really good. They got a lot of pressure on the Chargers quarterback, Justin. They got one interception, one forced fumble. They managed to sack him about 4 times. Jalen Daniels, kept it quite simple. He had 15 for 26 for 231 yards and 1 TD. But it's like you said, Jason, it's their running game on their offense. The main running back, Crosley Merritt, he got 14 for 111 and 2 TDs. And Daniels himself rushed for 8 for 39. And also as well, they got Samuel as well, who they brought over from the 49ers. He had a game. He had 8 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. What are your initial thoughts about the Washington Commanders and how they are, where they are right now? This part of the season.
I think, well, with all of the teams, I know you're starting to see things take shape, but I still think it's quite early to sort of make sweeping judgments because no one expected the Colts to be flying like they are, did they? But it's just
that's right. Yeah,
it's what happens, though, isn't it? There's always a team that surprises you every year. But I think probably another couple of games, 2 or 3 games, and we'll start to know where teams are at really properly. But they're certainly running the ball well, aren't they? Like I say, Jacori Merritt, 7th round rookie, 43 carries, 283 yards at a 6.8 average per carry and touchdowns. Yeah, I know. Daniels has got 124 yards at a 4.7 average, and then this Jeremy McNichols is their third running. He's third on the chart in the stats on the running for 112 yards with a 10.18 average per carry. He took a 60-yard touchdown to the house this season, but he's the sort of journeyman, kind of like his backup kind of guy. But we'll see what he's got. But they're certainly part of their sort of tandem of runners. So that's the big worry for them is really they're running the ball. I think the Chargers have sort of dropped off because they've got some injuries, haven't they? So I think that wasn't as massive a surprise as we may have expected for them to get smashed by the Washington. But yeah, it's the danger is the running game for sure. And also, like you said, the defense, they've got 15 sacks in 5 games, whereas Bears have got 5 in 4 games. So that's how it matches up. So yeah, we need to keep an eye on that. They get in the middle there. They got someone decent, didn't they, to replace alongside Darren Payne? I can't remember, but no. But they're a threat for sure. In terms of where they sit, they're kind of like 9th in terms of where are we? Offense. So 26.8 points per game, which is 8th in the NFL. Running game is obviously said number 1 in the NFL at the moment at 156 yards per game, and then 192.6 passing yards per game actually. So considering the fanfare made about Jaden Daniels, but I suppose when you're running the ball, if you winning the game, you don't need to be slinging the rock, do you? So they're ranked 23rd in the NFL in passing yards per game at 192.6. So we got to try and stop the run basically.
Yeah. I think a lot of their sort of lack of offense via the passage, because obviously Jaden Daniels were injured last couple of games, and then I think this was his first game back against Chargers. But yeah, I mean their offense is 7th overall on offense. The defense is 24th overall, and they're allowing 356 yards per game. They're 17th against the rush. And they're averaging around 240 yards per game against the pass. So I think it's going to be down to how well we can defend their running game. I think, can we get pressure on their QB? I mean, I know we've not got many sacks, but I do think we are sort of getting pressure to the quarterback. We're just not quite getting there.
Yeah.
And also as well, I think their offensive player, Samuel as well, I think he's a massive threat because he's built like a little brick house, and he's like a receiver running back's body. And you give that guy any space, then he's going to make hay on you. I've always liked him as a player. But yeah, I mean, do you think it's going to be a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game? It's a bit. I'm just trying to judge it. Are we going to sort of cancel each other out, or is it going to be like our defense is going to be on the back foot with their running game? Or it's quite. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I just can't figure out if there's going to be sort of many points scored in it or not.
Well, I think if they're going to run the ball a lot, obviously that's going to limits the scoring, doesn't it? Because you're obviously chewing up the clock, aren't you? So hopefully you're not going to get too many sort of big explosive plays that keep going for touchdowns. Whereas I suppose if you're throwing it a lot, then the chance of breaking one is a bit higher. But I think definitely it's going to come down to perhaps some turnovers or us exploiting the passing game, because I'm hoping. You said it before about, I know Homer's coming off of IR, isn't he? Or his window's open if they're coming off IR. Not that he's a massive part of our running game. But you said you saw something about Johnson wanting to use maybe Roshan Johnson some more.
That's right, yeah.
Do something with the run game. Maybe to see more of a Manungai, but we don't know. But we need to obviously not sort something out because, our run game is not the best. It's.
And do you think they're going to start Benedette as the left tackle?
Oh, God knows. I think they might do. I think it might.
They might do,
in training, isn't it? I think obviously it's almost I feel like Braxton's kind of lost the job after last week being pulled out of the game. Is not a great sign, is it? And then obviously when you win the game because you keep their sort of star pass rusher quiet in the second half after you've made the change, probably bodes well for Benedette, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, we need to. I think the big matchup will be our pass game against their defense, because that seems to be their weakness. And when you look at their Washington, like the stats for their amount of first downs allowed, I know that obviously when you pass, you're getting more yards, so maybe excuse it a bit. But they've allowed 30 rushing first downs and 60 passing. And in terms of touchdowns conceded on the defense, they've only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns and 8 passing touchdowns. Whereas for theirs, it's quite even. It was 7-7 for their offense. So I just think. Yeah, that's that. If there's a weakness, I mean, their run defense is 17th, 117 per game. Our rush offense, actually, people think we're like bottom in the basement, and it's not brilliant. It's 102 yards per game, or 102.2, which is actually 24th, and that's more yards per game than the Eagles and the 49ers on the ground. So
really,
yeah,
man,
you've got Jalen Hurts and Christian McCaffrey. So. But football's a funny game, isn't it? It just, it depends on where you're at. But, who thought Mac Jones would come in for the Niners and start lighting it up?
Yes.
It's just a funny game, isn't it? But yes.
That's why we love it, mate, because it is literally any given Sunday. I know it's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah, so I think turnovers will be crucial, and we've got to exploit them. We've got to use the pass game. Just stop them from getting to Caleb. Again, that'll be a trick for our sort of new tackles. Depending on if Wright's back. I think Dino Wright be back. I think he's definitely a starter, isn't he? If Dino Wright's healthy, he starts.
Yeah.
But it could well be Benedette at left tackle for sure.
And it will be interesting to see how Stevenson plays, because he's going to get a lot of shit from that crowd on Monday night. So hopefully, because he's played really well in the last couple of games, like you say, turnovers are going to be a big thing. And we've had 8 turnovers in the last 2 games. So it'll be really interesting to see how he sort of responds to the crowd. But hopefully he'll just blank him out, and because he's definitely getting back into his form since the Detroit game. So, he ain't going to make the same mistake again. I can guarantee you that. He ain't going to do what he did last night.
Absolutely. And exactly, because did you see? I don't know if you saw Kevin Byard does his own podcast, doesn't he?
I have seen it, but I haven't seen that episode.
Yeah, so Tyreek Stevenson was his guest last week, and they talked about it. So I expect that the coaching staff will have had a word with him. And the thing is, you've got to run towards it. You can't, that's the problem with professional sports, is you do that, and the whole world's seen it. And of course, they're going to, he would expect it, that they're going to try and use that to get in his head and try and I think he spoke about it on the Kevin Byard's podcast And it showed a good maturity. I thought he answered it the right way, the way that that is the right answer. Yeah, I own it. I made a mistake. I've got the respect of my teammates, and yeah, he was capping a lot of shit. And I think it's been disappointing that, although not surprising, it's just the way sports fans are. Is some people were just slagging him off. They just basically hate him now because of that one thing. And I'm always more kind of like, I would say, well, maybe forgiving. I don't know is the answer, but we've all made mistakes. When you're young, and people you can excuse it for professional sports because they've had this coaching and they should be better and blah blah blah. It's a different world. I'll never understand what goes on in their minds. But ultimately, he's a young man living out his dream, and he fucked up. He made a mistake. And who hasn't done something stupid when they're younger? And then and I actually really like the fact that he's got a chance. I welcomed it. I know Shorty was
redeem himself, sort of thing.
I remember Shorty's reaction when we got given Washington again, after the bye again, and at their place again, ready. And you love it. I'm ready for that. It's our chance to go in there, and that's what they were saying to Tyreek is like, go there and show him who you really are. That's nothing. That's one, and that he knows they're going to come at him with it. It's going to be all over because it's prime time. It's going to be all the media will be loving it, won't they? Because it's the Daniels against Caleb again. It's that one, the fail Mary again. So, I don't get into this sort of thing of it's great because it got rid of Eberflus and all the rest of it. I was fucking gutted when that happened. So
I was as well.
But you accept that that's the journey that has happened because of that. This took us there. He lost the defense. Obviously, everyone saw what a clown Eberflus was by giving up that 15 yards and then denying it was even an issue. Which is just ridiculous. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to going in there and letting Tyreek, show what he's made of and have a good game. Because he was getting a lot of flack for I think it was at the Detroit game, he got 158.3 passer rating again, didn't he? Like a perfect passer rating when he was targeted. And I think since then, I think I saw it on Reddit. Since then, he's been something like 5.8. So it's like literally
his form has just come right back.
Yeah, exactly. So he had a bad time to start with, but he's balling, man. And I actually really like him. I really like him. He's one of my favourite players because I love hard hitting cornerbacks.
Yeah, I do.
I love corners that dish it out, man, and he's one of them. So and he makes plays like the last game of the season against Green Bay. He 2 consecutive plays on one series that basically stalled the Packers' drive. He made a great open field tackle for a loss. And the next play, pass breakup. So he still produces, and I guess a lot of shit. And you rightly got some stick for that. It was a silly thing to do, but we are where we are. He's still got a potential for this team, and I think him opposite Jalen Johnson is a great 1-2 combo. So yeah, good luck to him. I can't wait for it. Let's just go back in there and put things right. That's how I feel about it. You've got to want to run to those situations.
Absolutely, mate. And the thing as well is. Like you mentioned, Stevenson's play. I mean, that interception what he got against the Raiders was phenomenal.
Oh, yes.
When he had to literally dive to his left, fully dived out, and that was a great play. But one thing what I'm sort of really interested in is how the Bears come out from a bye week with Ben Johnson because you got a little bit of a goodie.
This nearly made it into my stat bomb, but I just didn't have time. But yes, it's the Bears, and you can see why they get a bit of trauma about coming out of bye weeks, right? Is the last Bears head coach to have when you look at all their games after the bye week, the last time a Bears head coach had a winning record was Lovie Smith, who was 6-3 in his the games after a bye week. Matt Eberflus was 1-2. Matt Nagy was 0-4, so he lost every game after a bye week. John Fox was 0-3, and then Mark Trestman was 1-1. So the Bears have got history in terms of like the PTSD from post-bye week games. But this is a new era of Bears football, man. This is Ben Johnson's Bears, so he's going to have them ready, and that's the best thing about it. Because obviously Eberflus, oh my goodness, you got an extra week to prepare, and we come out like that. It was just dreadful.
And as well, last year, it was after the great performance in London, which you went to against the Jags. Yeah. So after that great victory, we all thought, I did a show with Aldo and Dan Aguirre the week running up to the Washington game last year. And I watched it back a few months ago, and we were so positive about Waldron. And then within a month, it all just went crashing down. But I don't see it happening with Ben Johnson. You think about it, he's had 2 weeks, he's had an extra week to plan for this game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm expecting a lot of the offense.
This is a guy. This is a guy that his previous players have said that he is intense and detail obsessed. So, and we've seen him. That's why we're all pleased with the coaching staff. Is you've seen how he comes out, how he presents himself, and how he wants to run this team in his image. So, I don't believe for 1 minute they ain't going to come out of that locker room on Monday night ready. I just don't. You know. It'll come down to our passing game, and it'll come down to turnovers. In terms of turnover differential, the Bears are +5, which is 4th best in the NFL. We've had 7 interceptions, which is 2nd overall in the NFL. Jacksonville have had 10. They're flying, aren't they, the Jags?
Yeah, they are. I watched the condensed version of their game against the Chiefs last night, and their offense is really, really scary. It's really good.
Yeah, and then Washington's turnover differential is 0. So very, very few turnovers either way in their game. So there's only been 2. They've taken away 2 interceptions and a fumble, and they've taken and given. Yeah, so given away 1 fumble, 1 interception, and 2 fumbles. So they're on 0. So they're not really sort of tearing up trees with turnovers. So hopefully we can use that to our advantage. But interesting game. Let's see where we end up.
Right then, Jason. You know what I'm going to ask you now.
Oh yeah.
Right, score predictions, brother.
I don't know why I don't put more work into this because I just forget about it until
I do. Like, I didn't really think about it for about 10 minutes before the show, and I do this every time we do a show. But what's your score prediction, please?
2017 Bears.
Nice. I'm going to go 24-21 to the Bears. I think that there will be a bit of scoring. I think it's going to be tight. But it's like, I think if the Bears can get the running game going, offense and defense, that's going to really help us out. Like you said, they've got some really good running backs at the moment. But it's like the revenge game, man. And if you can't get up for this as a player, then you should be playing. I'd be absolutely pumped if I were a player. And it's Monday night. It's on the national stage. Are you going to be watching it live, or are you going to be watching it in the morning?
I will see how I feel. I might do.
You know what I've done the last 2? The last 2 games have been at about 9:30 over here.
That's
Kickoffs.
Right. Yeah.
I've gone to bed and they've won every time.
So that's the trick then. If you're going to be superstitious about it, you need to go to bed at 11 o'clock on Monday night and then get up in the morning and watch it.
That's what I'm going to do, mate. Because I mean, I know it's awesome to watch it live and it's awesome, especially me and you can text each other, but it's the adverts completely doom-headed. And it's not only the adverts, the American adverts, but it's like the adverts what are on DAZN as well. And they just play the same fucking adverts all the time.
Same 4 over and over.
Yeah.
So
I like to watch next day, next morning, and you can watch the full game without any adverts. So I think that's what I'll be doing. Basically, all I do is I just don't look at my mobile phone at all when I get up in the morning. I sort of do this. If I see something, I'll just flick it off my screen and I won't look at my mobile phone until after the game. So I'm saying I'm going to do that, but who knows? I might watch it.
We'll message again. Probably both come 1 o'clock on Monday night.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m. on Tuesday, we'll both like that. Are you watching? Yes.
It is a bit of it feels like a big game, you know what I mean? It feels, I just love for Caleb to win as well. And, just to throw it back at Jaden Daniels and, and quite that sort of argument down. But just cool, man.
One other little thing as well is, I don't know if this has been floating around social media. I don't know if you've seen it. Is that after I think it was after the Raiders game. Was it after the Raiders game? No, it must have been after the the Dallas game, actually, because that would have been 20 games. There was statistically, they looked at this first 20 games. It was basically the best record by a number 1 drafted QB ever, apparently.
What, in wins or just like?
I think I didn't say exactly what. Again, it's a bit of a wishy-washy one, but it was just it was whether it's sort of passer rating or probably interception percentage is very low. Touchdowns, interceptions, completion percentage, something like that. But it's basically his record is standing up in terms of all the comparing to other quarterbacks drafted number 1. So, and it's early days, isn't it? The clown show that it was last year with Waldron and Eberflus and all the rest of it. however many offensive coordinators, however many different, coaches and all the rest of it, and the terrible game management. Yeah, like I said earlier, he's clutching it. I think he's got it in him. So hopefully we can just keep it rolling and just sort of develop something, and we'll see where it goes.
Exactly, man. I couldn't agree with you more. With that, then, unless there's anything else you want to bring up, Jason, before we finish?
No, I just want to give a massive shout out to everyone in the chat that has joined in and been here to listen to us ramble on from across the pond. Or some of them might be over here as well. I think Steve Mee is, isn't he? So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just happy days. Just good to be back. Good to chat to you. Good to have some Bears.
It's awesome having you back. I did enjoy doing my shows with the other guys, but it didn't feel like the proper British Bear show, doing it with a Yank.
Those other guys are not up to the standard, are they? I haven't got any worries about being replaced just yet.
I think Abbott would have been getting replaced first, mate. But yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Everybody who views the show on demand and however you watch the show. I just want to say thank you. Please like the show, subscribe to BCP. I want to say thank you, Shorty, for the channel, letting us come on and gabble about the Chicago Bears from across the pond. And it's just nice to have you back, Jason. And also, as well, I'm really glad you had a great honeymoon as well. Pass it on to Kim as well. So we're both predicting a win. We're going to be back next Tuesday, hopefully talking about a Bears win. And I think we'll just leave that with a big fat bear down.
Bear down.
We are Bears. We are Bears. We are Bears. The British Bears, the British Bears, the British Bears.